Welcome to the FOMO show about TV technology and home theater news. Today's headlines begin with accusations that TCL TVs do not have QD or quantum dot. Samsung is accusing TCL of falsely claiming that their TVs have QD or quantum dot when in fact maybe they don't. How true are these allegations? Which TV models? We're going to talk about that today. But enough about TCL, another Chinese powerhouse in the TV technology space. BOE, right? Just showed off an OLED prototype better than QD OLED. How long before we see this on our next TVs? And to quote Oscar Wilde, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. I guess Sony is going to be very flattered because Hisense just introduced the Saturn Immersive Sound System that looks suspiciously like the Sony HTA9. All of this and more on today's FOMO show. Today's video is brought to you by WhoKeys. Trying to build a PC on a budget but don't know where to buy your Windows software cheaply? WhoKeys to the rescue. Use my coupon code SF20 and immediate discount with a free upgrade to Windows 11.
At the bottom of this order where it says code CARD, to the right is the product key you need to activate Windows. So copy this long number, then go to the Windows menu and click on Settings. In the Settings menu at the bottom, select Update and Security. Select Activation, then select Change Product Key, paste what you copied from WhoKeys, click Next, click Activate, and you're done.
You can buy Windows 11 Pro or Office 2019 Pro with my discount code SF20. Yes, I've been using WhoKeys for the last several years on my own PC builds and it just works. So this month, BOE showed off their amazing prototype breakthrough tandem OLED display. And that sounds suspiciously like what LG did, right? Showing off their tandem OLED display. The difference being LG showed off a hybrid approach using phosphorescent blue OLED, whereas BOE is showing off TADF, not phosphorescent OLED, but unlike LG, which is still in the prototyping phase, research and development, right? Still in the lab, BOE showed off actual panels using this new dual tandem OLED approach. In practical terms, this means that BOE is at least a year ahead of LG. Now, it doesn't mean that the LG hybrid phosphorescent blue OLED tandem display isn't better, but it's still conceptual in form. The BOE prototype means they're testing it, they're sending it out, they're seeing what the lifetime is going to be like. They're probably going to put out a product in the next 2 years. But I know what you're asking. Okay, great. We're seeing this on smartphone prototypes. When will it make it to TVs? Unfortunately, the manufacturing set to create these OLED displays are generation 8.6, which means most likely they will get no larger than monitors, right? 32-inch monitors at most. If you're going to go for TV panels, it's going to have to be a generation 10 plus manufacturing process, and that's not out there right now at BOE. BOE just finished its 8.6, which is all dedicated to IT, smartphones, tablets, monitors at most, right? So it's exciting, but for TV enthusiasts, we're a few years off. Nevertheless, what's exciting to me is that it's pushing both Samsung Display and LG Display to continually improve their technology, their performance, their process. They don't have time to take a breath because there's this fear that China is not just catching up, they are surpassing them, which gives us context for this next bit of news between Samsung and TCL. But before we jump into that scuffle where Samsung's accusing TCL of lying about quantum dots or not, I want to give you some more context. And this is the context. The question is, wait, how did China get here? How did Chinese companies like BOE and TCL get to the point where they're not just copying, but they're surpassing the leaders in OLED technology? And well, quite simply, this next article says it all. In this article by the Information Technology and Innovation Foundation, how innovative is China in the display industry? The article states that Chinese display maker BOE alone received an estimated $3.9 billion in subsidies from Chinese national and provincial governments over the past 12 years. And in 2020 alone, this is basically free money from the Chinese government for BOE to be the best and dominate the world in terms of panel technology and panel production. So the question obviously is, where would LG Display be today if the Korean government gave them almost $4 billion over the last 10 years, because as it stands, LG Display is barely making enough money to keep the lights on. I mean, they're making some money, but if you look at their earnings, almost every quarter, it's a loss. So the government is not footing that bill. They're not saying, oh, LG Display, you lost another 100 million? Here's a billion, make some money. No, and that's the issue, that the Korean companies, both Samsung and LG, they're a bit sensitive that their superiority, their dominance in the TV industry is being challenged by government-backed challengers, competitors from China. And so now that you have the context, let's take a look at Samsung's accusations of TCL. Specifically, there are some models that they list. These models include the TCL C755, which in USA model terms, it's a step below this year's QM7. It does have mini LEDs, and it's last year's model that was only available in Europe and other regions, but not the USA. So it's an entry-level mini LED TV, with maybe 500 dimming zones or something like that. But regardless, here's the problem. So the TV specs say QD mini LED. Now, if you don't know, QD means quantum dots, right? And these quantum dots are in the backlight system. It's supposed to make that backlight a little bit better to give you more pure colors. Essentially, they're selling that quantum dot as a feature. The problem is, when they took apart this TV, there were no quantum dots to be found. Now, TCL's response is, no, the quantum dots are there, but I guess in shipping, maybe they fell out or something. I don't know. But TCL is saying, no, it's there. It's just not enough of it. So they're going to send these TVs to another party to double check to see whether there's quantum dots, right? I just find that so comical. But regardless, as a consumer, and I'm talking to you, TCL, right? As a consumer, we don't care if a TV has quantum dots or not. Either it looks good or it doesn't, right? So the reason why people buy TCL really is two reasons. One, it's less expensive than the Samsung TVs. So let's say a Samsung Q80 is exactly where this C755 is attacking. The Samsung Q80 is not cheap, right? In the USA, it's still just over $1,000. It has no mini LED. It has some dimming zones, right? The TCL C755 has more dimming zones and it has mini LED, attacking the Q80 exactly where it wants to dominate for a few $100s less. And this is the problem. The C755 is taking market share away from Samsung's high volume seller, the Q80, right? And so with that in mind, Samsung is not happy that this TV claims to have quantum dots, when in fact it may not. That still remains to be proven, but still, let's just take the allegation at face value. I'm looking at TCL, I'm saying, TCL, people don't care at this price whether or not it has quantum dots. Let me put it this way. Forget the word QD, right? Let's say the TCL C755 mini LED. Instead of saying QD mini LED, if all you said was 4K mini LED or Dolby Vision mini LED, as a matter of fact, let me ask you all this. If you're a consumer, common Joe, right? You're not a super enthusiast, you got $800 in your pocket, you're deciding between the slightly more expensive Samsung Q80 and the C755. You see the Q80, it's QLED, it's got quantum dots, and then you see the C755, no mention of QD, but it says 4K Magic Mini LED. So if TCL replaced QD with the word Magic, would it make a difference? Most consumers have no idea what QD means. And if you tell them it means quantum dots, they're like, I don't get it, right? But if you said it has Magic Mini LED, like, oh, well, I know what Magic means. It's a sale. What's QD? I'd rather buy Magic over QD. To me, it's just so funny that they're all caught up in these buzzwords. Now, this doesn't go to the core of the issue, whether or not it has quantum dots. If it doesn't have quantum dots, for the sake of argument, but the TV performs awesome, own it, right? TCL's like, we don't need quantum dots. It's amazing, and it's cheap, and it's Magic. Hey, that's going to sell TVs just as well. Because remember, TCL, they're buying your TVs for two reasons. Less expensive than the competition, but performs as well as more expensive TVs, right? Punching above its weight. And so the word QD is not why they buy it. Now, Dolby Vision, maybe, like people love that buzzword. So you got Dolby Vision, you got 4K, and now you have Magic. Next up, we're going to talk about an all-new product category pioneered by the Sony HTA9. I reviewed it, I loved it. I thought it was one of the best and most innovative products that year. Came out about 2 years ago, right? So basically it replaces your soundbar. Instead of an ugly soundbar that sits either under your TV or in front of your TV or on the wall below your TV. So the HTA9 allows you to place them roughly around the TV, right, to the sides of the TV, behind you, to your side. Basically, they're out of the way. Immersive sound and dialogue centered on the TV. It's amazing. It works great. Now, obviously, it was a first generation product, but it's very popular. And this year, they've improved it with the Theater Quad. Oh, right here. The Theater Quad review coming soon. Spoiler, I love the Quad. Amazing product, but it's not cheap. It's still almost $2,500. And even the HTA9, right, first generation, still $1,500. So this all new genre defining product has a competitor, the Hisense Saturn. Yep, no pricing, right? It's just, feeding it out there. I want to see how much interest there is. And so the question is, obviously, the HTA9 and the Quad are both aspirational products. They're not inexpensive, right? If you're looking for a soundbar equivalent, but you don't like the look of the soundbar, you either have to pay $1,500 or $2,500 for the HTA9 or the Quad. And with the Hisense, the question becomes, okay, how much are you willing to pay for a knockoff from Hisense to get most of what the HTA9 or the Quad delivers at a much more affordable price point? The question is, what is that price point? I'm predicting that if they can sell it for under $700, say $600, $599, something like that, it'll be a big hit because people don't like the look of soundbars, right? But you tell me, first, do you like the look of soundbars? Do you want something like the Quad, but for a lot less, like the Hisense Saturn? And how much are you willing to pay for that? Remember, the Saturn comes with subwoofers. Both the Quad and the HTA9, they're pricing of $1,500 and $2,500, no subwoofer. So to add a subwoofer is an extra $400 to $500. Let me know in the comments below, is the Hisense Saturn something you'd pay for and how much? Until next time, stop the FOMO.